Hey everybody, this is Ian Lowe with Lform Design, your B2B web design source and evaluators. And I have my trusty sidekick today, Jeff. How you feeling? How was your weekend?
Doing pretty good. Had a pretty relaxing weekend. Can't really complain too much. How about you, Ian?
Doing great. Besides throwing out my back this weekend, but now I'm doing better after a couple meds. Can't beat the muscle relaxers, that's for sure. So I'm gonna ease off of those today, though. Luckily, it's doing better. So today, let's just, I guess, jump right in, unless you want to give someone a little bit of background, so new viewers. Yeah, why don't we do that? So I've been in this field, web design, custom web development for 23 years now, and started the company in 2006. And Jeff, how about yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Jeff Karomi. I'm the art director here at Lform Design. For the past 15 years, been specializing in SEO, user experience, and user interface design for B2B companies.
All right. So today we are reviewing, I believe it's pronounced Cargill, native to New Jersey, true to our hearts because we're both Jerseyites. And let's just jump right into the 3-second rule and see who they're trying to target. So we have this slideshow right up in front of us. The first slide just says "Welcome to." This talks about science. Second slide, decades of leadership with immersion oils. Okay, so they do immersion oils. Not quite sure who their intended audience is. And then third slide is one of the world's largest optical liquids manufacturers. Okay, so it wasn't until we got to the third slide that we have a better understanding of what they're trying to sell. As you have professed in many of these website reviews, Jeff, that no one sticks around for the third slide. So ultimately, slideshows are a waste of real estate. You want to not embellish. Do you want to talk more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's always something we always tell our clients. If you do want to hide something on your website to ensure that your users don't find it, make sure that it's not slide one on your slideshow. People don't stick around for them. People ignore them. They get ad blind to them. The motion just distracts them. And generally, if you have to have one, you want that first message, that initial message. I mean, it's up here so that, reliable optical liquids manufacturing, but then right on to the third slide, which is coming up on cue. That should be your first message. Honestly, they should get rid of this slideshow and just keep this messaging at the very least. It's well written. It's pretty clear. Sometimes websites we look at, sometimes clients we do work for, it's really hard to understand what they're trying to sell you off the bat. At least you have a little bit of, reliable optical liquids manufacturing,
Say
right?
that 10,
And
say that 10 times fast, and you'll definitely have a
yeah,
tongue twister
seriously.
going.
They also do say that they're in Cedar Grove, New Jersey. I like that, not just because we're both big lovers of this beautiful home state of ours, but it does give you some context. Oh, that's where they are. Okay, that's kind of cool. The one thing they are missing from all of this messaging is I don't know who they're selling to. Is it technology company? Is it other manufacturers? Are they selling to distributors that sell to manufacturers? I'm not really sure entirely where I would apply optical liquids here. There's no images of the type of people that they would be pointing to, and there's no text saying, hey, this is kind of where who we're kind of aiming at. A lot of companies tend to think, oh, well, our audience knows. They know what you would use that for. And that's not necessarily the case. As things get more global, you may have people who are not native speakers. They're new people to the industry, maybe an intern or maybe an assistant is looking up, has been tasked with looking this stuff up. And if they don't see those few keywords, they're going to gloss right over your website to a website that does. I think that kind of covers kind of our opening, or at least my opening thoughts on messaging.
I mean, also, some people might barely see this. The fold might be further down on the page, depending on their screen resolution. I have a very large screen. So ultimately, I agree with everything you said. As we go down further on this page, it's interesting that they have the business hours here, not in the footer, meaning the bottom of the page. So that I find it's just bad placement ultimately. And then, find the liquid. It's really difficult to see this button here to start my journey, right? People like to be told what to do on websites, especially. So if I go ahead and I click that optimal liquid, here we go. This is essentially for an estimate, right? We can go ahead and fill out this form. This is a pretty lengthy form, but at least gets the process going. As we go down, we have some product news, which is also, insightful, gives us an idea of what they sell. And I mean, ultimately, I feel as if they have good information here. They just need to really restructure how it's being showcased. So do you want to add anything about?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll get into the products in a little bit, but there's one thing I noticed here. So scroll down to this kind of CTA area here, Ian. You'll notice two things. The first headline here is find a liquid, but and if you roll over the button so we can actually read it, find a liquid, optical liquids, technical form. Well, that's kind of interesting. How do you find a liquid through a form, right?
So
I
it's
would
not a true
assume,
catalog. Yeah.
right. It's just kind of a confusion of the headline. That would be like get it, find or get a quote on an optical liquid, right? Something like that would make a would connect these headlines a little bit together. You are right that it is good that they have recent product news. It kind of gives them, it's good. There's no dates on when these news items are kind of around. But really, what's mainly missing, and if we go to the top here, outside of the slideshow hero area, I know they have different categories of products. Why aren't those products lined up really nicely and easily and clearly for someone to see, a few rows of products, even if it's more than you need, right? Providing those directionals will get someone into the area that they want to. Like, look, all of the stuff in here easily could be listed, or you could even cut it down to kind of the most popular categories or the categories you want to feature. But at least having somewhere where someone can click outside of this navigation would allow someone to kind of move into those products much quicker.
Absolutely. Yeah, and also I don't have, if we click further, right, we don't have an entrance or what we call a listing page. So I have to start my journey by knowing the product category that I'm looking for. Now, I'm assuming that most engineers who are their target audience know what type of liquid they need, right? I need an optical gel, I need some type of mounting media, but you really should it should be easier for the individual who wants to browse, who is a layperson, to start. All right, I want to get an understanding of what each of these categories is about. So if I could, I would like to click on products, see them all listed out with some brief descriptions. Oh, that description makes sense to what my needs are. Let me start looking deeper and see if, so for instance, the idea would be calibration liquids. If we go into this section, let's see if they have anything. We have a read more. What does that mean? All right. All right. So they do have category descriptions. Calibration liquids are very stable, non-toxic liquids for refractive index measured to an accuracy of points. There's a lot of zeros there. So this content is fantastic and really should be brought up 2 levels to a products listing or products entrance page. So I know what is the correct category to select and then dive deeper. It's hidden too far down in the overall site. So it's great that they have this here. It's also great for SEO purposes. That being said, I know I'm kind of jumping the gun on this, but let's take a look at how these elements are wrapped. And this is wrapped in an H2, a heading 2, so that's good. And let's see, what is that? That's a link. So that's probably not going to be wrapped. We'll just see if this applications is wrapped. Let's inspect that element. That is also wrapped in an H2. So interestingly enough, let's see if this element, maybe it's H3. No, this is just a bolded text, strong tag. So it looks like they have, let's see if the logo or the title page is wrapped in it. I would hope this is wrapped. No, I don't want to look you up. I want to inspect you. That is an H2. That's odd. So this really should be an H1 and then this an H2, or this could be an H2 and then this is an H3, right? We're giving a hierarchy to Google. We're telling Google, hey, this is the hierarchy. This is the most important information on this page and so forth. So that is definitely a cause of concern for me. Jeff, you want to weigh in on the overall site flow?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you go back to that, the calibration, what is it? Calibration liquids.
Sure.
I think there was an interesting thing that you did. So you immediately went down and what'd you find? You found the one button on the page and you're like, oh, wow, maybe this should be on a product listing. Problem is, if you start unfurling this is a product listing. The only problem is all the products are hidden behind accordions.
Yeah.
So,
and if we have tabbed information too on top of that.
Yeah, so it's like you're kind of double hiding the information here. So for instance, let's go into why this is not good. People will scroll down a page pretty far and they will be looking for headlines, right? So they're looking for different types of liquids. All of this stuff should be headlines, shouldn't be hidden away. You want to give them this information. And the other thing is, once you start, and especially when it comes to pricing, let's say you want to compare accordion 1 and accordion 3. Well, how do you do that? You now have to go back and forth between the two. Whereas if these were all listed out, which there's plenty of room to do that here, if those are all listed out, you could easily kind of go across and kind of see where the product pricing is based on different sizes, however you break down your products. So this is what you're doing is essentially getting in the way of your customers trying to find the right product for themselves, right? You have, we've looked at there are quite a few products on this website. It's just adding a lot of friction to the, experience here. You want to make it as easy for your users to find exactly what they want, especially on, multiple, like this, that last accordion, master calibration liquids. There's a few items there. Some of them have images, which is good. I'll give them marks. These are really good product images. They're showing exactly what the product's going to look like. They're pretty well shot. They're nice and clear. They're very consistent across the website, so that's good. But yeah, there easily could be a better experience here. On top of that, I do like kind of showing some initial information within a product directional, but all of these pages, so each of these products should have its own page. This is the only page these are listed on, right? So you should have a structure where you go and it is, let's say, for instance, you click on products. You have an overview that says /products, then it says /calibration liquids, and then it says, /multi-temperature calibration liquid, right? That's a proper, well-built for SEO structure. And, that's where you'll want, the product name and an H1 and descriptions and H2s and H3s and breaking it down. On top of that, some of these do have like safety data sheets, and all that information could be brought onto that page as well, so people don't have to download. Overall, it could be there's a lot of good information here. It just could be structured a little better, which is kind of coming up. That's how the homepage is as well. There's a bit of structuring issue going on with this website.
Agreed. Also, look at this huge header image here. Is that really, I mean, it's a cool image. I understand it. But again, it's taking up a ton of real estate. So it's interesting to me that they're hiding content into an accordions, right? To make the page very compact, which again, you and I are opposed to, but they obviously did that. And then they throw in this large, very tall image. So it kind of defeats the purpose. But ultimately, you and I are of the opinion, keep the big image and then keep this information all viewable, so and people can easily scroll down and just they can skim it based on headers, which is great, which is the way it should be done. All right. So let's talk about the navigation as a whole. We already talked about the products area. So if I click on order, right, well, I have purchasing from Cargill and then place an order. So interestingly enough, I guess they have, are you ready? Here, we'll go ahead and place the order. And we touched on this briefly, but ultimately, the problem with this page is you have to know the product information. You're doing yourself a huge disservice by not allowing customers to just essentially add something to a cart and checking out. They're going to have to find the product number, enter in the SKU, and then hit submit. You're adding too many layers. As a whole, users, we've been spoiled by Amazon, Best Buy, a lot of consumer-based websites, which are very well structured. And so because of that, in the B2B world, expectations also need to be met. This is doing a huge disservice. Ultimately, if I saw something like this, and I'm fairly web savvy, I would end up just calling them up. I really wouldn't want to fill out this form. This is way too time consuming. Do you want them to be able to actually have money exchange hands? Possibly not, but at least if they can add things to a cart, submit it for purchase order, and then have additional conversation once that's been submitted to the sales staff over at Cargill, then that would make sense to me. And then I think it's also funny that they have this. It's up here. I feel as if it's not. Essentially, most people look for the contact us page, right? It's one of the most popular pages. We see that time and time again. So again, I would put this up in the main navigation by order, the contact us. I'm just surprised that they kind of put it up in this top header navigation. So Jeff, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think what you say about people are spoiled by e-commerce, and not necessarily some B2B companies would be fine working with e-commerce. A lot of them can't really do that, right? There needs to be quoting, there needs to be client vetting, maybe certain products can't be shipped to certain countries. Often there's a long sales process that goes into this stuff. If you go back to that order form page, this whole order form, which is big, I mean, these are some really long fields to fill out. It makes it look even bigger than it actually is because of the way it's designed there. But if we go down the website, if any keen observer is going to notice, this website isn't the fastest in the world, right? So there are possibly hosting issues, possibly it's the way it's coded, and things are loaded. But now you've come to this page, you filled out all your information. Maybe you have an account number, maybe you don't. And now you have to go and make sure that you're referencing all the proper information. Whereas, let's say there was a different flow to this. Let's say I went and I found 3 products on those product pages that I liked. And I just, there was a little button that says add to quote, right? You add those product information. All of this stuff gets taken care of for the user. It all gets entered in there. Maybe they sign up for an account. Maybe they're allowed to do a guest checkout, as it were, for that quote. But then all they're filling in is that above information, maybe some of the description, maybe some of the notes, maybe some background to help your salespeople kind of finish the deal, right? On top of that, obviously they have returning clients because they do have, Cargill account number, right? You only would have that if you had an existing Cargill account with them. That could be achieved by in a lot of different ways. Having a company account, the different, different purchasing order people could log into under their own accounts and place orders and look at past orders and make changes and things. But yeah, and it is funny that contact us is located so high up in that header. It's a little invisible, so you're really driving your users to use this big old form here when a lot of it could be solved in a much more streamlined way. I mean, one of the things that I find is funny is that if you go to the FAQs page, they do have, if it ever, I have it on my side too, if it ever loads for me. But they do have, yeah, it really isn't loading.
But the first question is, you may submit your online order here. I think that's what you're driving at.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
that is, yeah, it's not loading on my end, but yeah, right here. So they're telling you, how do you submit
Yeah.
your order? Go back and go through that big old form, right? So they really are pushing you there, but they're not making it easy. And what's going to happen is someone else is going to come along that does similar stuff to you, say maybe a similar price or beats it. Maybe it's a you know, they do better customer service than you. Maybe they don't. But if their online experience is easier, people are going to go there and not come to your website.
Absolutely. And some people might say, well, we've been around forever. That doesn't mean anything anymore. I mean, look at Amazon. They've decimated a lot of small business owners. They started with books, right? And sure enough, a lot of bookstores have gone under because they were able to make everybody's lives easier by allowing people to purchase books online. So I think in the B2B world, we're usually about a decade behind. And I think this is an instance where Cargill, unfortunately, is 2 decades behind the 8 ball. And I think they're doing themselves a disservice. I don't know how many optical immersion liquid companies there are, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's direct competitors who are already thinking about how they can make their experience better. So that being said, let's talk about the overall. Oh, look at this. So I went ahead and I clicked on ISO 9001 certificate. That takes me to a PDF file that's really just an image and a poor quality scan for that matter. And then I click on immersion oil on the microscope, and then that takes me to a PDF file. And I'm not even quite sure if this is a case study or what it is. I'm just scanning it quickly. And then we have the optical liquid tech form, which is a different tech form, which I clicked on earlier. I actually had confused it with the order form, so my apologies. But again, it seems like they're just kind of throwing items up here into a very, very important area of your website, right? Your header is where most people click. So, Jeff, please weigh in on this one.
Yeah, I mean, this is just straight up confusing. And once you dig a little further in a site, you do see that this kind of stuff pops up. It really does seem like someone was like, hey, we need our ISO 9001 certificate on the website. All right, someone wasn't thinking, threw it in the header. When you come to a header, almost everyone's going to assume that they're going to want to go to your dropdown, see what kind of stuff they have. It gives you an overview of what your company does. It's your biggest introduction. Most people are going to be interacting with this. When you start doing things like throwing PDFs into your navigation, which looks just like it does with any other navigable link, and even looks like this text, really that isn't even clickable, you're now making the user guess as to, okay, how do I get around this website? And you're really putting up barriers for them to find what they want, right?
Absolutely.
Even some of the naming here, when we product/search, I didn't see any search function within this website. So why does it say /search? Why doesn't it just say products? About Cargille. Well, I hope this page is about Cargille if I click on it, because it's the Cargille website. Right?
Oh, wow, look at that. It's a broken style sheet on top of that. Huh. So this is what happens. So the content's there, the HTML is loading up, but the cascading style sheet is broken, thus everything isn't in a bounding or in divs. Wow. So, I just went back and now it's not even working. Let's try clicking.
Yeah, I've had a few pages, at least on my side, that it looks like something kind of in the loading structures broke, because it isn't even loading the style sheets for me, which kind of tells me that something's blocking the rest of the website.
What is going on? Their site's down. I bet you they're making updates as we, I kid you not, but they're making
Eh,
updates.
yeah,
They're
that
making
could
site
entirely
updates.
be.
So one of the things that we do here at Lform is if we are making updates to the site, we first put it on a staging server, better known as a test server, double check everything, and then we push it within seconds so this doesn't happen. Obviously, they're making changes on the fly and it's causing things to break. So this is a very 1990s, early 2000s way of coding a website. That's how the majority of us coded websites back in the day. We just kind of make the updates on our local machine and just push it live instead of testing it on a server prior. So now this entire site is down. Let's see if any of the content's loading. And it is. So interestingly enough, the content's still there, but we're having issues. So I say let's wrap this up, Jeff. Overall, I think it's a bad day for Cargille and their website. But overall, what would you rate this site?
So, full disclosure, we originally did this website review and then forgot to record a portion of it. So we're
We did.
taking a look at this the second time. I will say that when we looked at it the first time, the website did not absolutely break. Now, we didn't give it a very high grades. I think we were pretty unanimous in that.
Yeah.
Overall, I mean, right off the bat, if your website's not working, that is a straight F from me. Your website has to work. It's the baseline. Now, putting aside, whatever updates, whatever hosting problems they may be having at the moment, because it doesn't seem like it's something that happens often, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt there. This website still is pretty much a D or a D minus. It's hard to navigate. It's very slow. It requires the user to do a lot of work to put it in order. Overall, the design, while I love the Cargill logo, it does have that kind of a bit of a retro, 70s look to it, which is a good differentiator among a lot of the really kind of more minimalist and a little more boring logos. There's not much going on here. It doesn't really tell me how much of a difference Cargill has among other competitors, and really it's just the structure, hiding content from your users, bad URL structures, very spotty kind of H1. I mean, all like we were looking at this stuff, these are H2 tags, they should be H1. It's a lot helping you with SEO. It's not helping you with Google at all. So really, I mean, in best case, a straight D is what my grade would be here. There needs to be a lot of restructuring to this. And we didn't even, I guess we can't really get into the resources, but there were a lot of really good resources on this website. Organizing them in a much better way will help you with SEO, and it will help you place orders at the end of the day. And right now, the website's getting in the way of you placing orders. And so that's a big major mark on me.
Big. Yeah, I would give this a D. Ultimately, I agree with everything that you stated. To me, it looks like someone internally built this, or someone who kind of knows websites built this. There was really, unfortunately, not a lot of thought put behind the overall site flow, the hierarchy of the site, how the information is being displayed. And ultimately, it's doing them a huge disservice. They obviously did this, I hate to use the term, but they did this on the cheap, right? And I think this is directly affecting their sales. The majority of clients come to us, right, because they want a good user experience, which has a direct correlation with sales. I think if they made a sizable investment, took a lot of this content, restructured it, I'm going to say they would have a 10 to 20% increase in sales. That seems very bold of me to say, but based upon my experience being in this field for as long as I've been in it, I truly think they would benefit greatly from just rethinking about the overall scheme of the site. They could still keep it simple. I agree with you. I love the old school logo. I think it's more reminiscent of the 60s, but I could be wrong. Maybe it is the 70s. You could still create a clean, modern, effective website. It doesn't have to have a lot of the wow factor, but ultimately they need to restructure this so it has a good, it's a good online product catalog ultimately, right? That's what they need. So Jeff, I think that's it for me on my end. Jeff, why don't you take us out of here?
Yeah. So thanks again, everyone, for watching. Remember to subscribe to our channel if you like this B2B specific website review. We may have some more types of videos coming out in the future, but right now this is our website reviews are kind of our bread and butter. If you got any good information out of this video, please give us a like and leave a comment below. Do you agree with us? Do you disagree with us? Do you have any other things that kind of jumped out to you that might be a way to improve this website? All of that stuff helps us reach out to more people and educate clients. And at the end of the day, Lform thinks that an educated client is a successful client. So thanks very much and take care.
Thanks, everybody. Till next time. Bye.